evening, and welcome to Horror Historian. My name is Amanda, and tonight we'll be discussing the 2016 supernatural horror movie, The Wailing. This is a fantastic and creepy South Korean film, and it won a ton of awards as well, and it creeps me out. The movie was directed and written by Nang Hongjin. He is most known for The Medium, a movie I really do need to see. Let me know if you're interested in me covering that. The stars are Kwak Do-won, Hwang Jung-min, Chun Woo-hee, Jun Kunamura, Kunamura, and Kim Hwan-hee. Kwok is most known for The Yellow Sea, The Attorney, and Steel Rain. Hwang is most known for You Are My Sunshine, Deliver Us from Evil, and Hostage, Missing Celebrity. Chun is most known for Sunny, Han Gongju, and Delightfully Deceitful. Jun Kunamura is most known for Audition, Ichi the Killer, and The Boy and the Heron. Kim is most known for Oh My Ghost, Here's My Plan, and Reply 1997. Trigger warning for sexual assault, implied child abuse, death of an animal. The movie opens with police officer Jung-gu being sent to the scene of a murdered woman. He lives in a quiet village, so it's kind of rare for such urgency. His immediate assumption is that someone from outside of the village must have come in and committed the murder. Like, the kind of people that do that don't live here. However, as he reaches the scene, it becomes clear that he was wrong. The killer turns out to have been the husband, who was discovered borderline incoherent and frantic. The toxicology report just says that he had eaten mushrooms. Based on the fact that South Korea is incredibly conservative when it comes to drugs, I'm assuming it's not the same mushrooms that I'm thinking of. One of the cops even admits to having used it. Ultimately, Jungo and his partner, Jungbuk, agree that it doesn't explain the behavior that he's been showing, or explain why he murdered his loved one. He's acting the same and keeps going into violent spasms, so he can't be held at any jail instead of being held at a hospital as best he can. But for the time being, it seems as though it's just an isolated incident. Once again, this proves to be very wrong, as more families begin to fall in the same way. It's like a virus going around, jumping from one family to another. There are three mysterious figures in this movie that play an important role in everything: a Japanese man, a woman in white, and a shaman. The shaman will come in a little bit later. He's well known in the area and is contacted by Tungu's mother-in-law when it starts to become much more personal. And we'll get to him later. He's not important right. Woman in White is something of a local ghost story after appearing, but she's also someone that Tungu will have to have a conversation with after finding her at a crime scene. Even though he says he doesn't believe in ghosts, he still very nearly shits himself one night during a storm when she pops up. The Japanese man appeared around the same time as the woman, and he caused unease. There is a general suspicion around him, and the tension is definitely based on xenophobia, and it's important to understand the historical context. Relations between South Korea and Japan have always been strained. Japan has frequently invaded the country and attempted to colonize in hopes of getting a foothold in the mainland. It just happened in World War II, and has happened repeatedly prior. There's rumors surrounding the very beginning that the Japanese man is an actual demon. He has scared a few people while in the woods, and it seems like he also lives out there.
The next crime scene that Jungu bumbles onto is a family that was brutally murdered and then set on fire, initially making it very difficult to tell. However, the authorities are able to piece it together, and yeah, it's another family annihilation. I think that it might have been the grandmother. Jungu encounters the woman in white, and their interaction leaves them even more unsettled. The woman warns him that the Japanese man targets women that have rejected him. As the story progresses, it becomes clear how deep that predatory streak goes in him. Unfortunately, that makes her accusations that much more plausible. Jungu tries to follow her, but by the time he goes in the direction she went, she's completely vanished. It's pretty evident that the woman in white is some kind of spirit. She never provides information in a straightforward way, which adds to her mystique and the uncertainty around her presence. If someone thinks she's talking in circles, they're not going to trust her. Regardless of Jungu believing in the supernatural, things take a personal turn when the illness starts to appear in his own household. He lives with his loving wife, his mother-in-law, and their young daughter, Hyojin. They are a warm family, and that's what makes all that happens in this movie more heartbreaking. Jungu starts to become desperate, convinced that the Japanese man is somehow behind it all as his daughter starts to get sick. It's not unfounded, but the intensity of his fear and his anger are going to make him make some choices. It becomes increasingly clear that he has to meet with the Japanese man. He comes along one of his partners and a local shaman who is really not equipped for this. He doesn't even make it to the cabin. On their way, he gets struck by lightning. Despite their urgency, Jungu and his partner don't abandon poor guy. They actually rush him to the hospital. While they're there, the suspect in the first family annihilation case dies suddenly. All we get is that something inside of him ruptured and there is nothing that anyone can do. This development is especially alarming because Hyojin has started to get sicker in that exact same way. That night, she experiences a violent fit. Jungu is desperate for her survival, but by morning, her behavior shifts in an unsettling way. She begins eating uncontrollably, devouring food that she wouldn't normally be so excited to eat. Her grandmother is disturbed by this drastic change. In response to these developments, Jungu and his partner enlist the help of someone new, a young deacon from a Catholic church who also happens to speak Japanese. That's going to be a valuable aspect, and Seongbuk is Catholic, so he feels safer going up there with the guy. They eventually reach the Japanese man's cabin deep in the woods. It's immediately apparent that something is off. The house is in poor condition and not really suitable for living in, but he's living there. There is a large aggressive dog that lunges at them the second that they come onto the property. That dog is going to become a particular problem for the deacon while looking around. Inside, the house is disturbing. There's porn everywhere, and there is a dark room hidden away. Surrounding an altar are photos of various victims, all looking distressed. It's pictures of their bodies after they had been mutilated, usually right before death, and he'd been to every single crime scene. In addition to the photos and physical items that belong to each of the victims, Songbuk is the one that brings Jungu his daughter's shoe, which was found inside of the altar room. This is later after the Japanese man arrives and finds the group at his home. The dog gets free and goes for the deacon, and when the Japanese man returns, they all freeze. They don't know what to do with him as he has caught them doing something extremely illegal, and there's no translation needed. No one speaks a word to one another. Jungu, Songbuk, and the deacon get the hell out of there as fast as they can. Hyojin's behavior escalates over the coming nights. She becomes increasingly aggressive, but does admit to having seen the Japanese man. Based on what the woman in white has said, it's reasonable to assume that Hyojin may have rejected the Japanese man in some way. The strange event definitely started before he started harassing the Japanese man, so that's not really an element of this. It's just that he's aware of what's happening. As tensions rise, Junggu returns to the Japanese man's house to do things properly and find all the evidence that has been taken off the walls and burned. The deacon is stuck translating back and forth in an increasingly tense conversation. Overwhelmed by the terror over what is happening to his daughter, Jungu loses control. He gets destructive and breaks the Japanese man's belongings, but it's when the dog attacks him, rightfully protecting its owner, he kills it. It's kind of a turning point for his character. He has largely been shown to be kind of a bumbling idiot in his career. He stumbled pretty much every crime scene. So seeing him go through that extreme change is a lot. Meanwhile, the deacon is trying to stay alive and not send the Japanese man into a rage. It's also hard when he is not going to be translating Jungu's word for word. And they do leave and go home, and the Japanese man says very little, if anything. The next morning, Jungu discovers a goat that has been slaughtered and hung from the gate. A pretty obvious ominous warning, but even that pales in comparison with what Hyojin does, which is violently stab a neighbor that had been keeping an eye on her. The shaman Jungu's mother-in-law had intended to bring in is finally arriving. In general, I tend to be suspicious of religious figures who have a lot of flash outside of religious practices. This particular shaman fits that mold. He enters with a lot of dramatic flair, so I kind of had a hard time trusting him from the very beginning. However, during his inspection of the home, he finds a few things, including a dead crow hidden inside of their soy sauce barrel. The shaman quickly decides a ritual is necessary. The Japanese man is also doing his own ritual. The timing is perfectly in sync. And at first, it seems as though they might be in opposition, battling each other through spiritual means. But I couldn't help but wonder if they are doing the same ritual from two different locations. The contrast between the two ceremonies is striking in their presentation. The shaman's ritual is loud and theatrical, involving multiple participants and intense chanting. The Japanese man performs his ritual alone, quietly. During the ceremony, Jungu becomes overwhelmed. Although there seems to be progress in the pain that Hyojin is showing and the way that she thrashes it around, she begs her parents to help, and Jungu can't continue to watch his daughter suffer, so he ends the ritual in a fit of desperation. The deacon at some point shares his doubts about the shaman's and authenticity, and I do agree with him. Hyojin is showing no signs of improvement. Jungu is pushed to his limit and decides to go on a much more direct approach. He forms a small lynch mob and they go to the Japanese man's house to kill the source of the curse, threatening to take his daughter from him. It doesn't take much convincing to get a group of his friends, willing to help. They pile into a truck, go into the woods, and find the Japanese man's home. They encounter a man that seems like he may have been reanimated from the dead. He's crazed and coming for them, but they survive. They destroy the Japanese man's home and eventually chase him off a cliff. Although they assume he has died, he has not. This is confirmed when they actually think they probably killed him later when they hit him with the car. They have a little bit of a I know what you did last summer moment, disposing of the body into the ocean. When Jungkook returns home, he finds his daughter has improved. She cries and she is back to normal. It appears as though murder might have been the right answer all along. The shaman begins conducting another investigation around the village when he encounters the woman in white, who causes him to vomit up blood. A swarm of moths attack his car and he ends up fleeing. He calls Jungu later and warns him that the woman in white may have been the one that has been cursing Hyojin and the others all along. This claim doesn't make sense based on what we've already seen. The altar and disturbing photos are not explained away by the shaman claiming that the Japanese guy was just another shaman that was trying to help. But it's mostly meant to send Jungu spiraling and unwilling to trust the woman in white when he leaves to try and find his daughter. She has returned to the house where her mother and grandmother are. It's at this point she discovers a knife and starts stabbing her grandmother. Jungu is stopped by the woman in white, who he immediately questions. She does finally come clean over the fact that she is a ghost, but she is clear that she is also there to help Hyojin. That she is not there to harm her, but he doesn't know who he can trust at this point. He tries to wait, but he can't. He rushes back to the house before the final call of the rooster. Basically, what she's told him was, after 3 cries of the rooster, you can go home. While Junggu has been away, Hyojin has stabbed her mother and her grandmother. When he finally arrives home and sees what she has done, he encourages her to come forward. He knows how this will end because, as violent as he has shown himself to be, he can't do that to his daughter, especially with the knowledge that she's not fully aware. The deacon had tracked the Japanese man down and followed him into a cave. The Japanese man is fine with admitting fully that he is a demon, the very entity behind the curse that has been spreading throughout the village. The deacon says that he just wants to see the demon's true form and then he will leave and never return. The Japanese man replies that he will certainly see his true form, but he will not be allowed to leave. As expected, he does exactly that. I'm going to be honest, it's a little goofy, but yeah, that's definitely a demon. The deacon does not survive the encounter, obviously. Back at the house, the shaman arrives calmly and enters the home. He finds Hyojin, who is zoning out while her father dies. He gets a photo of Jungu's dying face, confirming that there is one more twist. Jungu, by the way, is blissfully remembering the time that he had with his daughter. The woman in white truly had been looking out for Jonggu. She was a benevolent spirit, warning them and trying to protect the family. In contrast, the Japanese man and the shaman had been working together all along. Their rituals and curses are a part of a pattern, and they move from town to town, sowing destruction wherever they go. This movie is actually a real surprise for me. I had been hesitant to watch it because I knew in my soul it was gonna hurt. But Jonggu makes such choices throughout the movie that you kind of pretty quickly accept that his family is just going to be toast. Just figuring out how they're going to be toast. That's interesting. Jungu is a really interesting character that lashes out at people and really does not know how to handle everything that is happening. He does not really use his police position to figure out a damn thing. He just literally bumbles in, screws up, and watches as the world falls apart around him. Special shout out to the Japanese man's actor for perfectly portraying just a really creepy dude, and Hyojin's actress because that kind of gave me Reagan vibes from The Exorcist. She's vulgar and kind of terrifying. The mystery is really which of the 3 figures to trust, and honestly, as mysterious and vague as the woman in white is, I trusted her the most out of them. We already had too many reports of the Japanese man just needlessly being terrifying in the woods, and the shaman was too flashy for me to trust him. I'm not saying I'm always right, I've just got a knack for it. Thank you so much for watching. My name has been Amanda. This has been Horror Historian. I can't decide. I don't think I'd ever meet him. I don't think I'd ever had that problem.